Look, I want to take you back to there's a thing I read online. 2004, there was a friendly between England and Spain, and you were one of the main targets for racist chants. Okay, and what I loved about your response is this: I just let the football do all the talking, and I think that's testament to the fact that you're very, very professional. But at the same time, trying to put myself in your shoes, like you're getting onto a football pitch. Granted, it's a friendly game, but you're playing for England, which must make you feel amazing every time you do that. You're loved in the doors, you've got sponsors, you've got all these things happening, and then suddenly you get on a pitch and you're getting completely opposite what you think you're going to be welcomed into. I mean, how did you deal with racist chants on the pitch?
Well, I grew up in South London.
So do I.
Yeah.
Tulsa I'm from.
I'm from Brockley, which is not too far from Bermondsey. So Bermondsey, and if I went to meet some friends in Eltham or around those areas, we used to get called names. So I grew up learning to have thick skin. Like, I don't agree with what happened in there, but nor at the same time am I going to let it get under my skin and ruin what I worked so hard to get. I think things like that, when that happens, players or managers shouldn't even have to come out and speak about it. I just think it should be dealt with straight away. Like, it shouldn't get that far. The fact that I feel like now all players have to stand up and say something or post something on social media, I think that's wrong. I think there's enough governing bodies around football stadiums or around the world in football to take care of those situations. And that's just my stance on it. I'm not one that ever keeps talking about it, because I feel like the more people talk about it, the more it stays alive and the more people pay more attention to it. It just needs to die out, and they just need to start banning people that do stuff like that from football for good.
I mean, how do you think it's because I think I agree with you. I think if you give it too much concentration, it stays alive. And if you kind of ignore it, eventually it's got to go. But the catch-22 scenario is, if you don't highlight it now, it's almost like it's going to carry on and no one's really curbing the problem. But how do you think, since 2004 to where we are now, 2022, what kind of things have they put in place to stop it?
I think it is getting better, but I still think it's, if the more these people are allowed to come back in stadiums, it's always going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you can't stop that once they tanked up themselves on beers or whatever they may be drinking. They're going to say what they're going to say. So the only way to do it is to keep it out. I think the biggest issue for me, not only is it affecting the players, but it's people got their kids in there. They're making it seem like kids should hear these things, so they think it's okay to say as well, which is wrong. I don't want my kids hearing that, and imagine you don't want your kids hearing that. And we could say that about 70,000 plus people that go to games every week. And I said it on GMTV when all of it started happening in lockdown. I said, just ban them, like completely ban them. If you know who they are, send them to jail and and see how they deal with it.
Yeah. And on that note of this whole subject about, racism and, trolling certain people, it has gone into like the whole social media world. And as a father, I'm a bit fearful of my son now, who goes on YouTube, like it's second nature to watch Paw Patrol. Yeah. But over time, that's going to turn into a social media account. And then over time, he's going to interact and have friends. And I'm hoping he gets the best out of it, and he gets, education, he gets a peer group that he looks up to, or a social group, and he gets motivation because he's listened to good podcast interviews or seen a good athlete he wants to emulate, and etc. But there is always a thing that I think, he could get trolled, he could get abused on there. And as an athlete, it's almost like common now that a lot of athletes, no matter your race or your gender or your background, you're gonna get slandered.
That's the problem with social media. It opens up a doorway for, if people don't know you or know anything about you, it gives them a doorway and a path to basically say and abuse you anywhere they want. I think the biggest problem is if we was to go on, say, Twitter or even Instagram and type in certain words, it doesn't let you type them. So I just feel like companies like Twitter and Instagram, even Facebook, whatever you want to call them, they have the power to nullify all this. They just choosing not to. They can't say it's anything to do with, we don't have the money to do it, because we clearly know you do. So I think if they wanted to put it to a stop, I personally think they can.
Well, I mean, a good example of that was over the pandemic. If you wanted to comment about the virus, Corona, whether you had a for or against view on it, they put a warning sign up. So if you're going to be hatred, slander, discriminate, etc. to someone, you're going to, attack them. They have the power to put some sort of barrier up or shadow ban you or whatever else. If I can ask, I mean, what is kind of the worst thing that someone has said to you on social media?
I don't get in social media beef, like very rarely.
Not even a little DM they sent you? And
No, I literally don't. I post and go. Like, social media doesn't really rule my life. I try to engage with the nicer people that are on there. As for everything else, they can speak to themselves. And that's just how I look at it. I won't give them my time. Like, I'm all for engaging with people, having sensible conversation, listening to their opinions and let them hear what I feel. Then I'm good with. But anything abusive, is good luck to them, mate.
Yeah.
They're just bored.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've got a lack of self-esteem themselves.
Yeah, they're just bored. So leave them to it.